Om Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Param Param Ishvaro Guratmeti Bhurti Veda Vibhagine Vyomabda Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Sava Vedanta Sedanta Gocharam Tamagocharam Govindam Paramanandam Satguru Pranatoshmaham Om Shanti 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 Om Namaste. We begin from the verse 23rd. One should know that state which is dissociation from association with sorrow. This state is known to be, is referred to as samadhi. So Upasana Yoga or Jnana Yoga and Nidhyasana Yoga leads to that, should be practiced. Leading to that should be practiced with firmness and persistence, with tireless mind. So as we can see here, he presents again another definition of samadhi as a state, and samadhi is a state, okay? So it can be gained through different means, and we believe that the best means to get a good state of mind is by jnana, by knowledge, by self-knowledge. And we know why, because that's the way you can address very deeply to the roots of the problem, the roots of the cause, which the belief that I am the body-mind sense complex and I feel vulnerable and insecure, afraid, with desires for protection and security and many others, desires and fears. So living under that concept, aham, body-mind as me, is a recipe for samsara, meaning to say suffering. As we know, suffering is unavoidably experienced if we are based on that misidentification with the body-mind. So what is this samadhi that Swami and Krishna is talking about? Is a state. And here it presents that you can dissociate from ignorance. The ignorance brings about suffering, sorrow. So if you dissociate from sorrow, you should know that for that, you need to dissociate from self-ignorance, which is not said there, but it is implicit. So how are you going to dissociate from suffering, from sorrow? Most people will say like, oh, you just take it easy and you don't need to take things so deeply, just live a superficial life and so on, and you avoid suffering. No, you don't. Vedanta says that you have to go deep into the root cause of this mental condition called samsara. Yeah. And in order to remove this sorrow experience, you need to remove self-ignorance first. And then only then we can talk about a certain state. But many people say that you can enjoy a certain state even if you don't address the fundamental problem, which is self-ignorance. How so? By suppressing rajas and tamas, and finding an experience of peace and satisfaction in which no association with thoughts in regards to the world is giving the opportunity to arise. And then answers come, I'm a yogi, and then I'm there. And then I experience certain samadhi. But that samadhi is based on willpower and suppression. It's not based on willpower plus understanding. Willpower is necessary, but it should be allied, with knowledge, understanding, rather than just willpower alliance in alliance with suppression. with discipline. So in this practice, which is not a yoga practice, it's a yana yoga practice, nididhyasana, needs to be done with a firm conviction of its value. If you have a firm conviction of the value, and then you are not going to be tired of it, you are never going to give up. So this was the seventh definition of samadhi that we have seen. On the third definition, I was talking about a person is experiencing sukha, pleasure, satisfaction. And this samadhi here is more in the terms of sahaja samadhi. It's something that is different from the sukha described on the third definition, as Swamiji is recapping here. So this happiness is not going to be a byproduct of meditation, but this happiness is your very nature as one without a second, Satchitananda consciousness. So don't believe that this samadhi that Vedanta talks about, it is a result of doing something, but it's a result of understanding something. Okay, it's still a state, but it's not a state which is resultant of doing something, such as controlling the mind and the sense organs. No, it's a result of contemplating and understanding something. You understand your true nature as Ananda. And then if you understand your true nature as limitlessness, there is no question of experience samsara. Samsara is based upon you misunderstand your nature to be the body-mind with all its desires and aversions, which is conducive to sorrow and suffering. So you need to dissociate from that piece of ignorance to experience this samadhi, which is the result of a certain understanding, not a certain doing. Because you are already limitless consciousness. Your meditation is just for removing this misidentification with the body-mind sense complex, which by all means is limited in every possible way. You want to have a peace that is not subject to arrival and departure, a peace that is not going to be lost, and that can be done by the means of jnana, because knowledge, once was properly understood and internalized, it's always good. That is our mantra. That's why people talks of a great mental experience of samadhi, experiential samadhi. It's always in the past tense. I have had, or I had the greatest bliss of samadhi. It's always in the past. Anything that appears and disappears is not the goal in Vedanta. So how to get this infinite Ananda? So after everything we studied and so on, you still ask this question. If you get it, you will lose it. And therefore Vedanta, when we say infinite Ananda, it only means you remove the superimposed sorrow upon our experience of our limitless nature. So there is a lot of passage here that have to be carefully edited. If only when we say that you're going to have infinite Ananda, infinite satisfaction, peace, and happiness, is just the removal of those superimposed notions, which cause superimposed sorrow in your nature, which is peace and satisfaction. It's superimposed notions, ignorant, self-limiting notions, that's going to bring about a superimposed experience, emotional experience of suffering. And then that is happening upon consciousness, which is our ananda nature, peace and satisfaction, due to our nature as completeness and fullness. You're not going to get anything. You're going to remove these superimposed notions, mistaken notions that cause sorrow. Superimpose notions that cause sorrow and suffering. And then he reminds us that if you go to a doctor, the doctor is not going to give you health. It's going to give you a diagnosis. And then it's up to you. I am supposed to take the diagnosis and then follow through and through with what? With great persistence, tirelessly, firmlessly, something like that. With firm and tireless attitude, I follow the prescription given by the doctor. So from the physical level, we need to remove the obstacles that has caused unnatural health, what you eat, or anything, lifestyle, too much toxins and heavy metals that needs to be cleaned. So any kind of thing, So similarly, this ananda is our limitless true nature, the only reality. So in order for me to enjoy my nature as peace and satisfaction, I don't need to acquire anything, and I don't need to subtract. Subs or sub?
I think subtract is what you
subtract. I don't need to subtract or add anything. No? I'm not need to acquire anything. We just have to enjoy our true nature, free from those superimposed self-ignorant notions that cause sorrow. Sorrow is something that was superimposed due to wrong, mistaken concepts, misconceptions in regards to my true nature. You see, Vedanta is only removing the sorrow by removing wrong notions about what you are. Atmiyana does those. You need to follow the prescription 3 times a week, in our case here. If you take the prescription and you do the homework, sorrow goes away. But Ananda has never gone away, and Ananda is never going to come back from anywhere. Ananda is the adhisthana, the true nature of the ground of beingness, the ground of existence, the conscious existence, adhisthana of all superimpositions. So, and then what is needed? The only thing needed is to claim it, understand, claim it, and own up what you are. How can it be so difficult to own up that you are consciousness that on which the body-mind was superimposed? Well, we experience this consciousness all the time, and we know that it's non-dual, meaning to say there are not many consciousnesses, but there are many minds. Minds configurations, they are superimposed upon consciousness because, as we say, a body-mind, there are numberless body-mind, human body-minds, sense complexes. And those are superimposition by Maya. So I just need to own it, claim and own it. Therefore, Krishna says, Samadhi is remaining in the natural state. Samadhi is not moving from it. By doing that, you're going to remove the sorrow, a natural element of one's life experience by doing that. So how difficult it is to understand one's true nature and not betraying it. There was a time in my process that I was, to myself, I was looking at it as if I was betraying what I am again and again by falling for the belief I am the body-mind. I used to word it to myself in those terms. I'm betraying myself. I'm betraying myself. Samadhi is remaining in the nature state of what you are, yeah? Full, whole, and complete, without betraying that truth, that reality. Sometimes it feels like a betrayal. You know why now I remember, I used to use this term, betrayal, because many times it was so clear that I was consciousness. And somehow it was feeling to me that I was again falling for doubt, and then the old habit would say, yes, but I am the body-mind as well. Or more importantly, I am the body-mind and plus limitless consciousness. So samadhi is remaining in that certainty in regards to your true nature, purna. And that way you're going to remove the unnatural suffering, the unnatural samsara. Negating the sorrow means negating the ignorance that is the source of the sorrow. It's difficult to negate the sorrow. Well, you cannot negate in suffering because you're experiencing. But the cause of the sorrow is misconception in regards to what you are. That you can negate. But the experience of pain and emotional suffering and sorrow, you cannot negate. Okay? Because negation is a cognitive process that requires knowledge, understanding. You cannot negate the self-ignorance in the light of these teachings with the help of a guru. So negating the unnatural suffering is a way to say, because it implies that you are negating the ignorance that caused the unnatural suffering. Every suffering, every sorrow, if you analyze, you will find it is unnatural because either it belongs to the body, or it belongs to the mind, it belongs to the world. None of them is your true nature. Therefore, every sorrow you take and hand over to anathema, either to the world or to the body-mind, then what is my svarupa? Satchitananda. So here it says that in simple language, suffering belongs to the body-mind. More specifically, sorrow belongs to the mind. Pain belongs to the physical body. And then there is another pain, which is emotional, psychological suffering, mental, which is more painful. Many people say it's much more painful and difficult to be removed than mental, psychological, emotional sorrow, suffering. So it belongs to the mind. Within the interaction with the world, Jagata, the mind develops based on this fundamental misconception, I am the body-mind, it develops very, very, very negative, self-limiting, self-inserting notions about itself. And then psychologically, mentally, emotionally, the mind gets sick and suffers from depression, which is the most common, the undesire to live, but at the same time, the person does not want to put an end to one's life because there is always hope. Yeah? Something else, a new guru, a new meditation, a new this, a new that. a new therapeutic treatment. So this suffering, this sorrow, psychological, mental, belongs to the mind. As we know, I am not the mind. So the problem is when someone is having this incredible psychological suffering, the suggestion, you are not the mind, but you are consciousness, is not accepted by that mind under suffering, you understand? The mind that is experiencing sorrow has a hard time to accept that the sorrow belongs to the mind, but you are not the mind. That is the catch with these teachings. You need a good mind, a healthy mind, to really assimilate and internalize and be transformed by these proper, correct notions about what you are. So, but it is, the mind is anathema, but we need to have an anathema mind in a health state so that it can understand its true nature as Satchitananda Brahman. And then this mind, which is a health mind because it is a religious, spiritual mind, yeah, that develop devotion for God and travels, interacts in the triangular mode as presented by Swami Paramarthananda, and then it moves to binary mode format until the mind is so purified that it understands these statements of identity, okay, the thoughts, the mind, and any feeling, good feelings, bad feelings, they belong to my anathema nature. My atma nature is the witnessing consciousness, free and independent from the body, mind, and the world. Everything belongs to the world. The mind has to be healthy enough to understand this. Excuse me, just a sec. Spam. So this is important knowledge. Every suffering and sorrow belongs to the mind. I am not the mind. If I have difficult time to own and claim I am not the mind, but I am Satchitananda Brahman. And then I have to say, okay, I take it, I am the mind, but I want to have a pure and refined mind, purified and refined mind. Okay, it's a temporary approach. I want to improve the mind. I know that the truth is I'm not the mind, I am limitless consciousness. But since my mind cannot really claim on that to my benefit, you understand? And then I said, okay, I'm not going to push it. I have been trying to fake it until I make it. But if there are some qualifications missing, it's better I step back and I say, okay, let me take care of this mind. It is my secondary appearing nature, but I need a good appearance mind to understand the very limitless nature of this very mind. I want to enjoy my natural nature as limitless conscious existence, which is my svarupam. Samadhi is what? Is dissociation from self-ignorance, or in other words, dissociation from suffering, which is only possible by dissociation from those wrong notions that cause suffering. So how am I going to dissociate from the notions? Aham, body, mind as me, and I need this, I need that, and I need purification, I need, anything, many things, from the subtle level to the denser level. So how I'm going to dissociate with all those thoughts, né? As Shimaya used to say, you cannot just dissociate from that without associating to something higher. Understand? Again and again, it's from the denser, the grosser to the subtler and higher and higher. The mind needs to be associated with notions and concepts in regards to itself. Huh? So dissociation with those notions and association with higher notions until you can live without depending on any notion, because every notion appears within the scope of yourself, the only reality. You know, Maya Ishvara projects numberless Jiva Atmas and even more numberless concepts and notions about the world and about this aham. Everybody has an aham and has a definition of this aham. Everything happens within me, consciousness, and I need to dissociate with this wrong knowledge. What are the wrong knowledge? Samsaric knowledge, mundane notions and concepts that are all based on self-ignorance, all based on the mistaken notion that I am the body-mind and everyone is the body-mind, and we need to compete to get what I want so that I can enjoy some punya. So dissociation and association, if you don't, I mean, the whole idea of dissociation with sorrow, it only stands if it is followed by immediate association, because you can dissociate only by associate with what? With the scriptures and the guru. Without, you're gonna try to dissociate like the yogic kind of way, you know, detachment. And then you may have to rely only on samadhi, nirvikalpa samadhi, in which you are not associated with anything higher, but at least you are not associated with ignorance, you know, because you removed all concepts and thoughts and everything. Now Swami is bringing the conversation to its point, né? It says, we have associated ourselves with sorrow because we have associated ourselves with wrong notions, ignorant notions about the self. Those wrong notions, wrong association with these wrong concepts is what I have to give up. We do not develop a new association with happiness because we need not associate with happiness because happiness is our very nature. No, you cannot associate with happiness. You cannot associate to consciousness. You must associate with the scriptures. The non-association with the scriptures makes impossible, 99.99999% of the time, makes it impossible that you rest into a true nature that does not involve association, because your nature is what you are in your essential intrinsic nature and does not require association. Association is with my true nature plus, for example, notions and concepts. My true nature is associated with concepts about my true nature. And now you're going to need to, as the body-mind, associate with the scriptures, which are going to revise, re-examine the notions you have in regards to this aham until you have notions that are natural, harmonious with what you are. At that point, you don't need any association, don't need any notions, you just are what you are. Happiness, ananda, is your very nature, svarupa. Therefore, the seventh definition is dukkha samayoga, dissociation from association with ignorance / sorrow, suffering, is called yoga. And then again, he's called nirvikalpa samadhi, which sometimes presents trouble for the teacher, you know, because it's not really nirvikalpa samadhi. And I think he may say something here. He says it's more uh, it's more of a natural samadhi. This is yoga. This is nirvikalpa samadhi. But nirvikalpa samadhi here is a different sort of samadhi, as we say, is the mind which is absorbed in thoughts in regards to a three nature. But this is a nirvikalpa samadhi in process to produce the natural samadhi, because the mind which is immersed in the thoughts around Aham Brahmasmi and so on, this mind, it's in the process of developing a natural state, which is Sahaja Samadhi, which does not really require this flow, absorption in thoughts in regard. I mean, you cannot see anyone such as really firm and clear Yanni. Let's take an example of Dayananda and Shimaya. You don't need them to do any meditation to keep those flows of absorption, those thoughts of Aham Brahmasmi. No, that has served the purpose. Now the purpose of the guru is to pass on these teachings, and he's going to work engaging on all those thoughts, not for his benefit, but for the benefit of people who are going to receive his teaching or her teaching. Yeah? So Sahaja Samadhi is the final byproduct of this Nididhyasana, which is the absorption around the teachings in regards to our true nature. So once that is owned, you don't need that anymore, That is the last apavad, and then you just let go of that, and then you don't need anymore a new ajaropa. You don't need this. When you give up the last, when you do the last retraction, you don't need another projection, another ajaropa. Now Krishna is giving an advice to all students of Vedanta. He says that he reminds us the process of dhyana. Dhyana is a general term for meditation, okay? Upasana is meditation upon the nature saguna of the Atma, saguna Atma. Nididhyasana is meditation, contemplation upon the nature of the nirguna Atma. Yeah? And in both cases, it passes by the stage of dharana and dhyana, and the third state, which is samadhi. Yeah? Dharana is the most difficult in the beginnings, where most people give up, is that you have to make an enormous effort to bring the mind to your contemplation upon either saguna Atma or nirguna Atma. Since you can do that by bringing the mind to the teachings that reveal the nature of Saguna Brahman and the teaching that reveal the nature of Nirguna Brahman. Dhyana is when your mind is effortlessly around engaging those thoughts, and samadhi is when it no longer needs to engage those thoughts. The absorption is effortless, it remains there. And then Sahaja Samadhi is when there is no question even of holding any thought in regards to Satya in opposition to Mithya. If we don't practice this, we are going to be just journeying in the fields of academic knowledge or intellectual gymnastics. These verbal gymnastics will not bring about the transformation, which is the goal of Vedanta and Gita. We want to transform our personality, especially our mental, emotional. If I do not transform myself, what is the use of the going through again and again another text of Vedanta or another class or study of Gita? He was saying, like, we are here almost finishing the Gita, we are here finishing Upanishads and Brahma Sutra. So what am I going to do soon? What am I going to do later? Sometimes I ask his much questions. So it's every time we do the same teachings, every class, regardless of the text. And why the teacher keeps doing that? Swami is pulling the legs of his students, say, so unless you guys do the homework, yeah, what's the purpose? This course are going to finish. You want to transform yourself, or you want more academic knowledge? Therefore, I need to be transformed by this course. And for that, the verse says you need perseverance, persistence, consistency, systematically doing this work. Oh, but that requires some time. It may require time, depends on each one of us. Well, we need to have the commitment to stay with it regardless. But instead of staying with it, the person tends to give up Vedanta. And this is the most common thing. It sounds good, but it seems to be too much work. So I'm having a lot of trouble to how the verse says, dissociating from the samsara thoughts, mithya thoughts. I'm having a lot of trouble dissociate, and then but now finally enough, I'm giving up. So you're giving up association? No, I'm giving up the Vedanta, as Swami Paramarthananda jokingly says. No? So we sacrifice Vedanta. So what is Vedanta? The easy definition, that which is sacrificed first. So I mean, he brings some funny jokes, huh? And he knows that in his class there, I heard once that he has class around 100 people. He knows that a lot of people there, they are going to give up, most of them. And they say, how to define Vedanta? Vedanta is that which is, first of all, sacrificed. Other endeavors we don't drop so easily, but Vedanta, unless the individual is very mature. And therefore, we need to have a strong value for this Vedantic process, for this Upasana, for this Nididhyasana. A mind that is qualified here with a mind that is undepressed. It's not over excited, too much Rajaguna, too much Tamaguna. A mind which is not pessimist with wrong attitudes. A mind which is not self-diffident, but self-confident. Otherwise, every time you try to do this work, your mind, your impure mind, is going to bring an army of negative thoughts that are going to destroy the Vedantic thoughts that you are trying to develop with optimism and confidence. And then he says, we can see it more often when we sit to do our upasana or our dhyana. When we interact with the world, we don't see it. But it's not that they are not there, but you engage in the world through them, and then you don't see them. You only see your mind totally caught up with ignorance and mithya, involved in all of this. We see it only objectively when we sit down, we make an effort to meditate, and then we see it. no, then it's better to engage. Yeah, we engage, we do things, and then you don't see your mind for what it is, but the mind is there for what it is. The activities, the constant activities are going to somehow hide from you the fact that your mind is totally associated with the media world of fake objects of experience. So, but in meditation, you start watching your thoughts, and then you're going to see them for what they are. A lot of concerns and worries and preoccupation, emotion, disturbing emotions and feelings. So you can know for sure that it's going to create great frustration. Oh my God. I remember like yesterday, I said, I'm going to stop it. You know, it's so frustrating. But somehow, if we persist stubbornly, yeah, with a stubborn attitude, you don't give up. You leave the rest to Ishwara, and then Ishwara may surprise us, such as Ishwara did surprise myself. Remember that Ishwara is this intelligent system. Therefore, Krishna says, never fall for self-diffidence and frustration. A lot of the time, dwell on these teachings, even if it takes time, doesn't matter. Allow a lot more time, then work on it. That's persistence is required. Therefore, with undepressed, a mind that never gives up, a mind that does never allow frustration to settle in, but instead a mind with optimism, optimism and enthusiasm. May you practice these teachings of Vedanta, Upasana, Dhyana Yoga, Nididhyasana. No, it's not something easy, but know that it's very easy once the mind is relatively purified, to a certain degree purified. Nice, huh? So it is what it is. So here, when we have a small group, we can say these things. We can go, I mean, Swamiji says these things, and I like to expose things for what they are. And in a small group like ours, because you guys have done so much work, I know that this is not going to chase anybody away, because you guys are mature souls, But you tell these things to people at early stage, they may just say, no, no. And since there is a big probability that I will give up it later, let me give it up now. Isn't it? That's the subconscious logic.
It's so true. I have friends that I see they can't spend any time alone. They can't, they're always doing, they're always keeping their mind busy with what they consider to be the world, the real world. And I feel so much compassion for them, because it's a little scary. It's all fear driven. They don't, since you don't know yourself, you're always defending against the world. It's really sad.
Well,
really
when you are dealing with samsari, people who were never really in contact with these Vedanta teachings, Vedantic teachings. But a lot of these people are people who study Vedanta, but still they keep it on the surface. And when you
Right.
talk to them, they only talk about the emotions, the thoughts, the circumstances of life, and you know, I mean, it's the most common thing. I see people who study Vedanta, but they can't talk about people who even believe that they are self-realized or they are teachers of meditation, this and that. When I talk to them, there is one here in Brazil. When I talk to him, he's oh, long time I don't see you, and then his conversation denotes that confusion. You know, he's still trying to be a better me, you know, and better conditions, trying to solve some psychological problems. The mind is confused, the purity is not there. And it's not easy. I mean, it's okay. I mean, we have to understand that. I mean, I'm here, for example, you know, to give some company to my brother, no? But how about some Vedantins that cannot help themselves, and then they go about uh, a superficial study here and there with superficial expositors, you know, or facilitators, you know, just to satisfy the
Yes.
the spiritual egos, you know, I'm a Vedantin, I'm doing it, you know.
Yeah.
It's the same situation. It's very difficult to find people with this kind of discrimination that is not giving up and not allowing delusion. Delusion is a thing that you find around most people, including people in China world. You know, delusion. Oh, I got it. So it's rare.
And it's just everybody's natural tendency, I would imagine, to seek for that self-development. And even our tradition has that in our disciplines and our values that are emphasized over and over again. It's just that, thank God, we have a scripture that takes you beyond that, you know, feeds you, nourishes you with that, and then sets you on a different
Course.
path.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
as Swami says again and again, you know, the scriptures are always there, but very rarely you find someone who is going to accept the diagnosis and then enter the program, which is the treatment, because nobody can remove anybody's ignorance, you know. It's a work that has to be done by each one of us, you know. And then most everyone is satisfied with those moments. I have it in my Brazilian group in the weekend, once or twice, sometimes twice a month, showing up in a class and then say, yes, I remember. Those are the teachings, yes. But in most cases, I doubt they do any homework, and they just okay to once in a while enjoy the class and be reminded that this is the way to go. It's almost as if, no, I know the way, but I'm going to take this path upon. I'm going to do it, but not right now. I'm still finishing up some things here. Understand? But it's good to remember there is this Yana path, the passless path. You know? Having completely given up all desires born out of fantasies, one should restrain the group of sense organs from all directions by the willpower of the mind. So now, first thing he say, like, you have to give up desires and fears. And it's more easily said than accomplished. So completely given up desires. We have seen several passages, including that very famous verse on the second chapter, that the Yanni, the wise, gives up desires as it appears in the conscious mind. Okay, it appears from the subconscious mind. Yeah. So it does give up, does not engage them because it understood that it's not worth it. No, unless it's necessary to engage thought. It's better just to stay quiet. Papaji used to say, keep quiet. That's the only teaching I have to you. Keep quiet. Having completely given up all desires born out of fantasies, one should restrain the sense organs. You just pull them from all directions. The directions are the 5 channels by which we contact this world, this physical material vyavaharika. So the desires we're taking care is something very, very inner, and it's something very much individual. Everyone has different sets of desires and fears. Well, once you have developed the ability not to engage those desires born out of fantasies, concerns, fears, anticipation, desires, one should then restrain the sense organs from unnecessarily moving into the world. And how you do that? By the power of mind, by the willpower, which needs these teachings. Otherwise, willpower will not be strong enough to restrain the sense organs from running to all objects in all 360-degree directions. Krishna talked about Dhyana Palam in this verse beginning from the 20th. Krishna is not totally satisfied with his performance, and therefore, once again, he wants to go back and talks about Dhyana's Svarupam, the nature of meditation. So he's going back to that. Control of the mind, control of the sense organs. Pulling them all is the third D of Vedanta. Yeah? Discrimination, dispassion, and discipline of control, of vigilance. Krishna is not satisfied. He goes back to the nature of meditation. What exactly is the practice of meditation? What should we be doing in time of meditation? And he repeats again here. Not because he's too old, but because he believes that we need to hear it again. He has talked about before in the form of dharana and dhyana and samadhi, the same topic he repeats just to reinforcement. So what we are supposed to do during meditation? First, turn the mind away from the samsari thoughts, worldly thoughts. Turn the mind away from the external physical world and from the internal mental world. This is all samsara. The subtle samsara, the physical samsara, the vyavaharika, and the pratibhasika samsara. Turn the mind away from these objects, thought objects. Turn the mind away from all of this. So memories of the past and anticipations of the future, concerned about the future. Therefore, he says, Kama, Savan, Tyaktavam. Here, Kama means your future plans and expectations. We are expert planners. We are always trying to plan. Some people are puts up so much effort to control that is all the time anticipate and planning, and try to control any possible variables in the future. Rarely, we do not live, we live in the present. As someone said, a person constantly lives in absentia. He is not there because today I am living, tomorrow mentally. That means today I'm not even aware. that I'm doing that. I'm only anticipating the tomorrow. And tomorrow, what do? I anticipate the other tomorrow. So what is the present? One does never live in the present because all the concern is anticipation to attract, yeah, favorable circumstance and anticipation to avoid unfavorable circumstance. This is the exercise of the samsari mind. Day after tomorrow, the same thing, and everybody's missing the today, the now. So lifelong, you are preparing for the future. When do you live, and therefore enough of future? So Krishna say enough of future, live in the present. Also, only 20 minutes of meditation. Stop anticipating. Stop remembering the past as a means to avoid some unfavorable or attract some of those past experiences which were favorable. Drop all plans, whatever. Just let things happen. Let things unfold. You don't need to try to control because furthermore, it's impossible to control. Make plans, yes, but then let it go. Okay, up. Shall we travel? Yes. Okay, let's buy the ticket. Period. Oh, and then if we cannot, but we lose the ticket. Oh no, let's wait. And then the ticket is going to be so expensive that we cannot buy the ticket anymore. You make a decision and you just do something and never look back. Planning is okay. Projection is okay, but only to a certain extent. But here the purpose is to stop doing that during your 20 or 30 minutes meditation. Because we are talking about upasana and nididhyasana. But living as a karma yogi, we learn as well to give up trying to control or anticipate what's going to be, because you just leave it to the Lord. You understood the system. You understood the relationship of Jivatma with Ishwara. You plan to live a life in harmony with the laws and principles of the Lord. On a practical level, you have some projects, and then you present your actions in harmony with the laws and principles of the Lord and in harmony with your project, your goal, but then you let it go. Huh? Let it go. Okay. Similarly, all our future plans also initially rise in the form of a small thought, but then we want to engage, we want to go into the details, we want to plan it to a micro level, and then you see you are totally lost in those things. You're losing your life right now. And this is going to create more and more samsaric thoughts 24/7. And the idea here is to dissociate from samsaric thoughts, mundane thoughts, not completely, because you need to live in this world, but only when really necessary. Yeah. And the emotional aspect of it all as well, similar, anger. If you have an experience, this is very nice, because anytime there is irritation, we feel the irritation. I feel the irritation. But one thing is to have a feeling of irritation or anger, even anger, that just hits you and you do not build up upon it. You understand? You don't remember even. So all these emotional thought feelings, such as anger and jealous, they require our build up to really create a negative pattern or a negative attitude of inadequacy or even an attitude of revenge or competition or anything, jealous. If we build up, it will end up with a very angry personality or a very depressed personality. So learn to divert your mind from those thoughts that do not need to be engaged. One should withdraw the mind gradually by the intellect, which is endowed with power, will. Having made the mind abide in the Atma, one should not think of anything else. Okay, we're going to stop here. I don't want to rush through this last paragraph. We're going to revisit it this coming Monday, right? Coming Monday?
Yeah. Mandukia Monday.
I know, oh, Friday. I will be back home. And then I will have my 2 computers and so on. Okay. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishate Om Shanti 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 Om. Namaste.
Thank you, Orlando.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Mark is not here. I can say bye-bye.
Bye-bye.